Who Are My Tiny Chefs? Microbiome, Food, and Taste by me, Joaquin Larico Nina. Um, Hello, I'm going to be presenting the relationship between microbiome, food, taste, and hopefully a bit more. And yeah, so to start off, who cares? Um, Consider this number 8,237,414,610. That's how many people are on the planet Earth right now. What's something they all have in common is that we all need to eat. So anything that affects our food eventually will affect us. And to make it a bit more personal, I'm Peruvian, so the classics I enjoy like ceviche, arroz chaufa, causa lomo saltada, as you can see in all these images, they all use vegetables um, that are grown in the soil, which would be affected by the soil microbiome. So it's important to remember that we impact the soil microbiome and all the things that spring forth from it. While I focus on food taste, I also hope to explore other ways we can impact it positively and negatively and see um, what our future holds for us. So the food. Um, the food can be affected by soil microbiome diversity. So soil microbiome composition alone can affect must receive flavored. They analyzed glucosinolate levels. More glucosinolate, more spiciness, found that certain microbes like Mortariella positively correlated with seed glucosinolate content. And things like plant pathogens were negatively correlated. So it was just more of a causality or more of a correlation instead of a causality. And the following study in 2025, which was actually in June 2025, they found acetic acid bacteria can negatively impact coffee and cherry flavor, as well as the presence of bacteria like Acetothermus, Trujibacter pseudomonas, um, can actually indicate a higher flavor presence of the specialty flavor profile of the farm, which was in Colombia. So just microbiome diversity can affect how food tastes. And yeah, so we're going to go on to the soil with the stuff we grow everything in, or the plate for the chefs. And we impact the soil a lot by different means. But the main impact that the main thing that we do that leaves impact is agrochemicals. So like pesticides and things like that. So up to 98% of agrochemicals affect non-target microbes. And this can actually reduce bacterial abundance, diversity, nutrient cycling, soil fertility, crop productivity. Just reducing diversity in general for the soil kind of just leads to negative impact. And especially it reduces nitrogen fixing bacteria. So there's just a reduced presence of the active genes for that, so AMOA and NERK in farm soil versus forest soil. So yeah, just impaired cycling, radically changed pH, radically changed just composition of the microbiome, which, as we saw before, can affect taste and flavor. Um, it's just important to keep in mind that like we do have a big impact on this stuff. So now on to the chefs. So there's a kind of a bit more positive, I guess, outlook on here. We'll start off with a little negative though. Concrete and plastic, things that can be found on farms. We're doing construction or anything like that. Um, can be colonized with some weird microbes that can produce toxic secondary metabolites, and those can be harmful to humans. So we don't want that in our soil, obviously. But there are ways to fix things we don't want in our soil. So say there's an oil spill, like in this picture. Um, Bacillus maris flavi, back 144, can degrade PAHs or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and promote plant growth. So this is really important in case there's like some, I don't know, explosion, some oil spill happens on a farm, happens on any land, and we kind of don't want to leave it arid and completely barren. We can use specific bacteria like this BAC 144, and it would be remediation and agronomic. And finally, designing microbial prebiotics can develop robust microbiomes. So specifically introducing a microbe that can positively affect the soil and whatever's growing in it. So an example in that paper was Candida sake for apples can reduce white yeast growth. So we can, for example, prescribe BAC 144 to help an area recover from a disaster like an oil spill. And on top of that, if we were to grow apples, we could also introduce Candida sake and it would help reduce white yeast growth and kind of act as a prebiotic, kind of how like we can use prebiotics to try to improve our own gut health. So dinner is served. That was the food, the plate, the chefs. Um, Everything is always changing, and it's up to us to guide the change in the right direction. Our soil microbiome is, as I explored, is very important, and now we see that a little bit better now, and what type of impact we can have on it. Um, Most of it was kind of like the negative impact, but towards the end, I tried to focus a little bit on more positive impact and how we can actually improve it, and try to have a positive outlook on where we're trying to guide our progress. I challenge all of you to consider what makes every part of this planet important to you. It's our job to stand up for it. After all, it's ours, and it's our responsibility. It's our job to stand up for the birds in the trees, the dogs in the dog houses, fish in the seas, all microbes all over the world and every possible place. Tiny chefs need the best tools, the best kitchen, the best ingredients to make their best culinary masterpiece for us. Here are my references. Thank you very much.